There's a lot going on with Celsius right now. I wanted to bring you an update of what is happening, what I'm finding. A lot of this is still speculative. There's a lot of people throwing a lot of things around on the internet, but let's get into this. I just received this community fact sheet from Celsius. It's nice that Celsius is actually starting to begin to communicate a little bit with its depositors. So it goes over some things here. Why is Celsius pause withdrawals? They say it's to protect liquidity. When can I access my assets? They're not really answering a lot of questions, unfortunately. However, this could be them basically trying to protect the market, protect their position on Maker, which I'm going to get into in a second, and just trying to keep the sentiment up about them, which is actually really good that they do that. And I think there are a lot of people on Twitter starving for answers, and the fear building, and fear is a big deal for Celsius. If they can keep some sort of trust with a good portion of their depositors, then maybe this can work out. It is not a good situation, and as you know from my last video, if you saw my last video, I'm a part of this situation and a little over leveraged, or not over leveraged. I didn't take out leverage, but just too much exposure on Celsius, and I'm dealing with that. And see, now this is interesting because I did see people were trying to pay off loans and receiving margin calls. It says if you receive a margin call, reply to the margin call email as soon as possible. Let the loans team know that you wish to resolve the margin call by posting additional collateral for the loan or paying off the loan. It does also state, though, please be advised that like the other asset in your Celsius account, any additional assets transferred to your account will not be available for withdrawals. So, these people with loans on Celsius, they're in a very tough spot because you might just be putting in good money after bad. But if you don't, then you're going to get liquidated. So that's really unfortunate. And Celsius really should not be liquidating their depositors who are trying to pay off loans. That is a big issue. It's one thing if they want to stop withdrawals, but to stop people from being able to pay off their loans when they can pay off their loans, it has a very bad look to it. And a big thing for Celsius I see is like if they just communicate more with the community, communicate more with their depositors, then it's possible a lot of these people were planning on leaving their money in there anyways. It's just this fear that gets created as soon as the feeling that your crypto, you can't take it back, then boom, the run on the bank. There's also says, will the withdrawal request I submitted prior to today be honored? So there were people who submitted withdrawals like 24 hours before they let out the announcement. Things were already locked. They're basically saying it's locked. So that's basically it. Unfortunately, it's not a lot of great information. It is something. I want to go into, this is showing you the Maker DAO loan that Celsius has. So they have a locked collateral of $509 million right now. They've been depositing more. If I show you the history, they've been depositing more wrapped BTC into this loan to bring down their liquidation price. So if you see here, the liquidation price now for BTC is $14,000. It was up at like $22,000. Hey, kitty. My kitty's making noise. So liquidation price 14,000, current price of Bitcoin's 21,000. There's some comfortable room there, but there is a battle going on right now, liquidation battle between the whales, probably people trying to liquidate Celsius. And if the Celsius does get liquidated, there's going to be a ton of BTC that flows onto the market, which would hit the price of the crypto market really big time. So I saw this Twitter thread on Reddit that is interesting. It is speculation. I don't know if this is actually what's going on, but basically they're talking about how the Cel Token is now ending up in a similar situation of GameStop and AMC and Wall Street Bets, where there were huge short positions on Cel, and whether it was retail investors or whether it was institutions that squeezed that short position to liquidate them. So it states here that 18.5 million Cel shorted on FTX a few days ago, now down to 16.5 million Cel yesterday. Short sellers were paying 2,600% to anyone who had Cel to borrow to close their short. It says if Celsians do what Wall Street bets retail investors did to buy Cel all the way up to $3 to $5, the short sellers are screwed and going to go bankrupt. It says, why are the shorters in a pickle? Because they borrowed 18.5 million Cel tokens, shorted Cel from 2 to 5 downwards to 20, and now they have to buy back 18.5 million Cel. They bought Cel 1.5 million yesterday, and the price spiked to 250. So there's a lot of different speculation about attacks on Celsius. He also goes into how he believes because Celsius supposedly pulled out hundreds of millions of UST before the Luna Terra collapse, that maybe people behind the Luna can be going after Celsius. This is a lot of speculation. We don't really know for sure, but I would believe there are big players, especially in this unregulated market. People are trying to eat each other's bag big time. So when they see exposure, they see over leverage, they see an opportunity to bring somebody else down, or to just bring the crypto market down to buy back in at a cheap price. There's a lot of different factors going into this. I'm not super optimistic. However, it is good to see that it doesn't seem like they've just taken the money, closed the doors, and run. So there is going to be an AMA tomorrow on June 17th on Friday. Probably should tune into that. I doubt they're really going to give us that much information. I mean, what I think would make sense is if they lowered the interest rate a bit, decrease their liabilities. I think for most of us, we want to just feel like we can get our crypto, let alone necessarily needing to maximize this passive income, and decrease that so they can fix their liquidation issue. And then if they were to open up withdrawals, to not open up all the withdrawals at one time, but to limit the amount people could withdraw over time. So there couldn't be a run on the banks, but it would create some sort of sense of security for the depositors that we'd be getting something back. That's what I would like to see. I'm sure everyone would love to see getting something back, but I think there is a lot of FUD and a lot of fear. And if they do open withdrawals completely, very good chance that there's just going to be a complete run on the bank again. However, I did see, looking over Twitter, looking at some other YouTube channels, there are people who still believe in Celsius, still believe that this isn't just a scam and that there were targeted attacks towards Celsius. And there was this kind of spiraling effect of this fear being spread on Twitter and the insolvency and Terra. And there's just a lot of fear in the market right now in general. So finally, Alex did break his silence after 3 days, which is good to see. Them going just silent is such a bad move for the sentiment of the community. A lot of people, I think, would just love to feel more comforted, feel like they have more information of what's going on. I don't know if it's legal issues that they don't want to guarantee things or something like this. But said team is working nonstop. We're focused on your concerns and think we'll have heard from so many. To see you come together is a clear sign our community is the strongest in the world. It's something. However, I think after seeing what happened with Terra and UST and Do Kwon tweeting how we're coming together and it's a liquidity battle and things are going to work out, and they didn't, that it's not super comforting. But I think my last video, I was maybe a little too fearful, but it's emotional. It is what it is. It's tough when you feel like a lot of money is now not accessible. But I think there's a middle ground here where to not spread too much FUD, to not spread too much fear, to not be too certain of anything. We don't know what's going to happen at this point. I don't know what's going to happen. It is what it is. It's out of my control at this point. I'm just going to keep staying up to date. I'm going to see, hopefully, if they have some sort of timeline. It'd be great if they were like, hey, in 30 days or 60 days, we're going to begin, certain withdrawals or whatever. But they're betting big. They're gambling. They're battling some whales probably right now. And see, what's interesting is here in this Twitter thread, they state that regular Cel volume is 5 million. Yesterday it was 111 million, 89 million. If we look at the price of Cel right now, we look at the volume, 64 million. So it's there's a lot of trading going on with the Cel token. We're a little in the red here, but we have bumped up a bit. and the market in general has bumped up a bit, which is really good for this situation, because if they can get some liquidity through the Cel token and just have more liquidity with their assets are plummeting as well, that creates more of a cushion. As general, don't take any of my advice. There are people buying Cel right now and putting it on FTX and hoping that these short positions get squeezed. There's some high risk opportunity there for sure. I know I've heard some YouTubers talking about how buying Cel right now could be a great investment. I'm not advising anybody doing this. I'm not advising anybody to do anything with their crypto. Do not take any of my advice. I'm not a financial advisor. But one thing that is interesting is that if all these Cel depositors did start buying Cel, that could be actually one of the better things for for Celsius. It's kind of down to like trust, right? I mean, if we trust that if we did that we would get our crypto back, I'm sure people would do it, and that's a million people start buying Celsius and drive that up and squeeze these people shorting the position and give Celsius more liquidity. So the sentiment is so important in this space. The emotional aspect is so huge in this space, how people feel and where the fear levels are at. I'm going to try to keep up to date with this, probably bring some more videos to you guys on this topic, and we will see what happens. All right. Phew.